Jesus heads beyond the Jordan to the place. The place, the way it's worded in the Greek, the place is a place that's available to everybody. There's no ticket to get in. Anybody could get in. It's generally available. That's what the word place means. But it also means a small place. It means a place that has a limited amount of occupancy. You know when Jesus said few find it? Well, there's a reason why. We all get to the point where we see what's before us, what's necessary, and we'd rather take a broader road. Give me something wider and bigger. That's what I want. I don't want the narrow way. The narrow way has to do with there's not many people, few find it, that are willing to engage in the suffering necessary to enter into the new thing. They all want to get into the new thing. There's going to be, I don't know how many hundreds of conferences there'll be. They'll be mobbed with people shelling out $50 to $200 to go in, to get in there, to get into the new thing, and show me the easiest way possible. Please don't. I don't want to go through the Jordan. I don't want to do that. And if I got to, at least put me in a canoe. Let me get across that thing without getting wet, without anything. God forgive me. Forgive the people that are preaching that kind of message more, though, because it's so inconsistent with the New Testament. Everybody in the New Testament, every writer, John, James, it doesn't matter who they are, Peter, they talk about there's only one way to get there. I know what I'm talking about. This is the way, and it's a narrow way, and it's the only way. Beyond the Jordan, there's a place there that few find, but it's available to everybody. The thing is, like I said about Jesus, who for the joy set before him, Jesus is looking at newness of life, all the enlargement, newness of the Spirit, new wine. Remember what it said, that the reason why you need a new wineskin? Because the new wine will burst the old. It expands. That's what happens. It expands. And if you don't get a new wineskin to contain the new wine, the new Spirit, then it's going to blow up, because that's what it does. It expands. A new and living way, Hebrews 10 says. And all of this is about enlargement and expansion into the new by way of the suffering. The new thing that Isaiah talks about in Isaiah 43, when he's talking about God doing a new thing. It's really kind of funny because a few chapters later, as only God could, he repeats it that he's going to do a new thing. And he tells them, I didn't tell you that I was going to do this new thing before, because if I would have told you, you would have said, oh, I knew that, and taken the credit for it. It's kind of funny, because God's saying, oh, it's a new thing. It's a new thing. And the best way I can think of a new thing for us in this room and whoever's watching that's going to engage in this word from God about entering into a new thing. When they went from horse and buggy to automobile, transportation was still the same. The vehicle was nothing like the old. You can use words like horsepower, but there is nothing about a car that resembles a horse. Absolutely nothing. The only thing they have in common is that people can access them, use them to get someplace, to move. That's the only thing they have in common. But I guarantee you, as you all know, there is nothing about a horse and a car that is the same. It is a new thing. What I am referring to, that I can see in this year, for us in this room and whoever's listening, is that we're going to get into something, a place that we've never been before. Resembling, but not the same. Horse, car, there's a resemblance in the context of what it does. Totally different. So there's no sense going down the road with a view towards what's it going to be like, because it's not going to be like anything that you can liken it to. It's not like anything. When God was talking about doing a new thing with Jesus, what will you liken Jesus to? God becoming flesh. We can't even wrap our heads around it. Son of man, son of God, same, all God, all man. How can 100% be 200%, but 200% be 100%? I mean, how does that work? We can't get our heads around it. It's a new thing. Don't compare it to anything else. When they were getting ready to cross the Jordan, remember? He said to them, we have not passed this way before. Remember, the people that he's leading through the Jordan to get into the promised land, where they're going to have to fight, wage wars, and a variety of things, they didn't go in and have a Sunday school picnic. They crossed the Jordan getting into a new thing, and he's saying to them, we haven't been there before. He's looking at a generation that was born and raised in the wilderness. All of those who came out of Egypt died. Now he's saying to them, you've never been there before. So it's nothing like Egypt. Absolutely nothing. Elisha himself, when he went into his ministry, do you guys remember that story where Elijah is taken up? The mantle falls to the ground. Elisha picks it up, slaps the Jordan with it, walks through the Jordan. You guys remember that story a little bit? Mm-hmm. The question being raised, so what does suffering have to do with Joshua and Elisha? With Joshua, he's standing at the Jordan. Stop and think now. Joshua was with Moses. Moses stretches out his rod and the Red Sea parts. So now I can see the way through the Red Sea. And it says they walked on dry ground. When they get to the Jordan, it'd be natural for Joshua to be thinking in terms of, okay, so where's my wand? Where's my thing to cause the Jordan? And guys, no, that's not the way it's going to be. Oh, well, how's it going to be? You're going to actually start walking through the Jordan, and as the priests walk through the Jordan, it's in Joshua 3. You have to read it. It's just like, okay, why don't you do like what you did at the Red Sea? Can't you just like make a way for us, and then we can say, no. This time, you're going to make the way, but I'm going to make the way. Remember I said last week towards the end of the message, God so much wants to partner with us. He's saying if you would step on the water, it will part. I've got a better idea. Why don't you part the water and then I can step on the dry ground? I've got faith for that. Yeah, you've got faith for me to do everything, right? Instead of faith, to do the things that I've called you to do that you can do if you believe me. Just start walking across the water. Oh, by the way, just in case some of you can actually walk on water, let's put the Ark of the Covenant on your shoulders. Just give you a little more weight, And it says, point blank, Joshua gives that message to the people. And he basically says, get ready, sanctify yourselves today, because tomorrow God's going to do something that you've never seen before. And he gives them all these instructions. It's really very, very cool. So where does the suffering take place? Well, when God tells you to do something that tweaks your mind to the point where it starts to pop like firecrackers on the 4th of July, and you just can't get your head around it, and you've got a nation watching you step into the muddy Jordan after telling them the waters are going to divide if we just go out and step on them. There's something going on there that is a dying to the way we think about ourselves and what God says. Wake up! With Elisha, you say, what was his suffering at the Jordan? He smacks the Jordan, the thing parts, and he walks through. When you read what happens when he has to say goodbye to Elijah, and he's screaming and crying, my father, my father. This was not a master-servant relationship. This was not, he's the boss, I'm an employee. Elisha had grown to see Elijah as his spiritual dad. And when they were being separated, when he rents his garment, it says that he rents his garment, that's what was happening to his heart at the Jordan. But the only way Elisha could get through the Jordan into what God had for him was for Elijah to leave. And that is downright painful. And he says, where is the God of Elijah? Where are you? Because I feel like, put your own word in there you want to put in. And he smacks the Jordan. People say he was testing. I don't believe that at all. I think he just needed that verification within his spirit that says, I'm willing to go through the Jordan. I'm willing. I just need to know that you're in it with me. And he shows him that he is at the Jordan. He gets to the other side, and basically he's got this huge ministry before him. Suffering is an integral part to grow, to extend the kingdom of God. That's just the way it works. what I said, the 2018 blessing for it's just one word. It's funny because, again, I'll mention Mark because he texted me before last weekend and he said, so what's the word for the new year? And I said, show up on Sunday and I'll tell you. But this is the word that he wanted. It's the word go. That's the only word I've got. Go. For me, it's very personally a powerful word because when we went to England, God did a lot of amazing things to show us that he wanted us to go to England. And we got to the point where after him making it clear that he wanted us to go, he said to me, okay, will you tell me, what do you want me to do? You tell me what you want me to do. And this is what I said to him. I said, I would like you to take the most unlikely person in all of Spencerport, and I want you to tell them to tell me to go. Just go. And there was a woman at Spencerport who, the point was that she never said boo. And she came up to me at halftime in a service. I say halftime because it was kind of like...
It was like halftime.
It was like halftime. We would go through like whatever in worship, and then there was this...
Halftime.
and then everybody greeted each other, and that went on for a while, and then we got into the word. Yeah, it was like halftime. And she came up to me and, Pastor Steve, I think God gave me a word for you. And this was the most unlikely vessel in the church. And I said, oh. I said, what's that? He said, go forth. And I said, oh, okay. So after the service, I told Carol, and she said, well, there you go, you got your word. I said, no, I didn't get my word. And she said, you did get the word. I said, no, I didn't. What are you crazy? No, I said go. I didn't say go forth. And if I know God, God's not going to say go forth when I said say go. Carol said, call her and ask her if she, because we were very big on this at Spencerport, you don't elaborate. If God says say banana, you say banana. So I call her on the phone. I said, did he say those two words, go forth? And she says, well, no, not exactly, but that's what he meant. And I said, what do you mean that's what he meant? She said, well, he said go, but I know that meant that he wanted you to go forward and go forth into something different and new, that he was sending you out. And that was the end of that. That was the final word.